right, let me see if I can share it real quick. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. All right, I'm
You
gonna
got
share.
it?
Hold up. Share now. Posting. All right, now I'm back to you.
Okay, yep. So it just froze the frame, so that's good. All right, so we'll
Alright.
wait for some people to come on. So we'll give it probably about a minute and a half, and then we'll get right into it. Hey, if you're just joining us, this is Dr. Tara. Thank you for tuning in to Dr. Tara Tuesdays. We are going to give people a few seconds to come on, and we'll jump right into our conversation with Erica and Rahsaan Grier, who are here. Well, right now, Erica.
He has to go get his artillery.
Okay.
That he just thought about
Okay.
at the last second.
So we'll wait for you all to get settled. Hello, everyone. If you are just joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome to Dr. Tara Tuesdays. I am always so excited that you all join me on Tuesdays. I am excited and honored and thrilled to have our guests Erica and Rahsaan on tonight. We are going to be talking about a topic that I think gets a lot of stigma, but not a lot of conversation. And I think it's one that impacts so many people. It's so many movements, you know, the whole social media, Black men don't cheat, this going on and this going on. And so we're going to be talking with both of them. One of the things that, just to give people a little bit of background information who are tuning in, when I spoke to both Erica and Rahsaan, one of the things that I want to acknowledge up front is I always ask people, is there any questions that are off limits? And both of you, Erica, were very, very upfront about, no, there's nothing off limits. And so, one, I want to thank you in advance before we even start the conversation about just for your transparency, your honesty, and your willingness to do this. So welcome to you both, Erica and Rahsaan. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So I want to jump right into it. So when I think about this topic, healing from infidelity and having this conversation, one of the things that automatically comes to my mind is secrets, right? We're not going to discuss it. And so how did you all get to this point where you all even decided to use the platform that you have to share your own struggle and your own journey and your own healing process? Why is this important to you to create this platform for people?
Let you go first.
Well, we are in this age of my truth. Everybody living my truth, owning your truth. And I think it was interesting for me, being a hairstylist, having so many women in one space, knowing all of their secrets because they sit in my chair and they disclose so much with me, and seeing what they each struggled with, knowing that, hey, here's this woman that you don't know. You see her frequently when you come to the salon and you both share the same thing. If you only could get over that, that secret, I want to keep it to myself. I want to hold on to it because I don't want anybody to judge me. I don't want anybody to use it against me. I don't want anybody to, take it and turn it into something that it isn't. If only they knew that, hey, this lady sitting next to you went through what she went through, she overcame it, she's empowered by it, she can help you. And if they talked about it. And so me knowing that much about women told me that I may not be the first woman to go through this, to experience this in my marriage, but I could be the first one to openly discuss it, be forthcoming with how it affected me, be real about how it affected me. We put so much face on for the public, and I wanted to take that mask off and be real. And that's just what it helped me. It helped me heal. It helped me feel good. It helped others. And I realized I had a voice and I wanted to use it. And I forced him into it.
She did. No, but honestly, for me, I remember we went through our ordeal. From a man's standpoint, it's so many of us that go through this battle, but we always talk about it in terms of a badge of honor, if you will. But it's not many men that you can go talk to that talks about the bad side of it or how to recover from it or how to overcome it. And so when I was going through my healing process and getting over it, everything, it was only two people that was there that I could actually speak to openly on how to overcome it, if you will. Really instrumental to helping me through this. And I realized that there's so many other men that go through it that don't have that outlet or that go-to person that talks about the repercussions of it and what you're going to go through. And more important, not just what you go through, but how to go through it and get to the better side of it also. So for me, it's just opening that awareness, being that person that other men can talk to in regards to it.
Rahsaan, I want to piggyback off of something that you said. You know, in many communities, in many cultures, not just the Black community, in many cultures, infidelity is looked at as a badge of honor or not, or brushed over, right? It's almost, sometimes it's even an expectation, right? So as long as I'm the main one or the main chick or the only one or whatever, I'll allow this. What was that like for you to see it not as a badge of honor, but something that I need to address and I need to heal from, and also allow my wife the space to heal?
Yeah, absolutely. And before I get into it, let's talk about some of the things that puts out there a badge of honor. I'll never forget when we were looking, and we've been married now for around 13 years. And I remember when we were going to look at different wedding venues in the Baltimore area, it was this one place we wanted to go get married at called the Cloisters. And this is where Will and Jada got married. It's like a famous mansion / castle, so on and so forth. And when we went there to go take a look at it, the tour guide was doing some tour, giving us the historical aspects of it because it's been around for hundreds of years. And I'll never forget, she showed us the master bedroom where the man slept, and then it was a separate bedroom where the wife slept. But the man's bedroom had a back stairwell. And I asked her, what is that for? And she said, it's for his mistresses to come up without disturbing anybody else. And it was like, wow, like it's not just a modern day issue that we go through. It's been going on for centuries.
Wasn't getting married.
You know, he didn't get married then. But it's just a lot that, things we see on TV, the radio, music. I mean, it's so much out there that portrays that symbol of having one woman not being the human thing to do. You see any outlets from women outnumber men, which means the ratio is X to X, which means we're supposed to have more. And not even have some men use the biblical reference. Well, Solomon was the wisest man in the Bible and he had multiple wives. You know what I mean? It's just so many references out there that we use to justify the actions themselves. But it's one of the things where for me, I had to come to realization I'll never forget, I think it was Darren Hardy. They did a comparison of relationships. And he said, how many people believe a relationship is equal? And everybody raised their hand. And he said, what percentage do you believe is equally shared? And majority of the people said 50-50. And then there was a couple of people who said 49-51, because one person said be willing to do a little bit more than the other one. But the right answer was 100-0. Until you take 100% responsibility without anything and expecting a return, only then will the relationship work. And then I thought about it. If that was the case, what would I expect for her to do in return to me if she lived the same lifestyle that I was?
Wow.
A lot of men can dish it out, but when it comes to receiving it, we women up real quick, if you will.
Be hurting. So I want to bring people up to speed. So I want to acknowledge Zai's comment before we get into it.
Sure.
If you all want to share, but what is your infidelity story? How has infidelity impacted your marriage for those people who don't know you, who don't have an intimate relationship with you all, who are just coming in and this is their first introduction to you all?
Oh, you want me to take it? Okay. I'll give the Cliff Notes version. We are high school sweethearts. We have been in each other's lives for more than half of our lives. We, were married young in our early 20s, and he started building a business for us, and it is relationship marketing. And a young lady that I had known, that I had grown up with, I introduced her to the business, and he introduced her to himself.
His business.
Keep it completely honest, you
Mhm,
know.
mhm.
They got very
Wow.
close and had an affair, and it I don't know how long it lasted. It wasn't longer than a year. I believe it started shortly after our daughter was born, and then it ended when I when everything came out.
Mhm,
Um, so within a year or
mhm.
less time frame, and so we were entering what 9 years of marriage, I think.
Yeah,
I
that time
think
really soon.
9 years
Mhm.
or so. Just had gone through pretty much everything that you could go through in a marriage except for that, and then that not going
And
on.
then that came. Mhm,
And we were like, okay, you know, how do we deal with this? And
mhm,
so, through a lot of prayer, I had my suspicions. I had, you know, what we call women's intuition,
mhm, mhm,
and I did not know what to believe. I didn't know what um, to deal with, how to confront it, and I thought that I was losing my mind. A lot of things played tricks on me. He, you know, was not honest if I confronted him about it. He was very good with keeping it under wraps, keeping
mhm,
it from me. We weren't in a space where I felt like he wasn't loving or caring
mhm,
or romantic with me. So it was very confusing for me.
mhm,
And
mhm,
when everything came out, I always say that my prayers were, if I needed to know something, I will know it when God knows that I'm ready to know it.
mhm,
So
mhm.
I wasn't looking for, you know, going through phones, and
Right.
I wasn't doing that. And it came out through a text message, and I saw it, and he admitted,
Mhm,
and actually, I think that he felt relieved
Yeah, and
that.
so let me jump into that one because that's something that a lot of men don't account for. You
mm,
account
mhm,
for, the lying, cheating,
mhm.
sneaking aspect of it, but they don't account for the mental and physical toll it takes on your body
Yes.
internally. It takes
Mhm,
so much energy to try to live that lie, if you will. So
mhm,
it was a point for me where I was just tired um, internally when it
mhm,
came, so it definitely it was just the right timing on both ends for it to come through.
mhm, mhm. So you all get to this point, it's out. You've acknowledged it. Your suspicions are confirmed, and you're now at that crossroads where you have to make the decision that you want to remain married.
Mhm.
How did you both come to that decision that one, you want to remain married, right? That's one part, and then the second part is now we have to heal. What was that process like for you all individually and as a unit?
Let me go first on this. I think a lot of married men who go through it at some juncture, some act on their feelings, some don't act, obviously.
Mhm.
That's not a true statement. Some women say that all men cheat. That's not true.
Black men
A
don't
high
cheat.
percentage do,
Yes,
but
black
not
hashtag
all.
black men don't cheat. Somebody
Right?
put that in the comments.
Uh, but for me, one thing I can say, a lot of men who are in the same position, they go through what they go through, but they never have the expectancy or the thought in their mind that they were going to leave home or destroy home in the process.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it does happen, and you see that, okay, now I'm at a crossroads where I'm about to lose everything. It's not even a question of does the man want to save it? It's a question is will the woman give us
Hmm.
permission to save it?
Hmm. Hmm.
It never ever
Hmm.
was up to him.
Hmm.
I never even asked him if he wanted to stay married.
Hmm.
That was my own personal. Do I want to be married? That was a whole separate thing. Do I want to be married? Yes, I want to be married. That took a lot of reflecting on my
Hmm.
part.
Hmm.
What marriage looked like to me, what I wanted it to look like, what I know that God said that my marriage would be like.
Hmm.
Um, was do I want to be married to Him?
Hmm.
And after I got to that part of do I want to be married to Him,
Hmm.
I had to be honest. I wanted to be married to Him. I did not want this version of
Right.
Him. And
Okay.
so once I got to that point of I know that He is better than
Hmm.
this. I know that I deserve better than this. I knew that he deserved better than, you know, what he put himself through.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately it came down to my friendship with him. Um, he was my friend, and
Mm-hmm.
I did not want my friend to hurt. It's crazy how pain works.
Right.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I did not
Mm-hmm.
want him to hurt the way that I was hurting.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so once I came to that that point in the road that was a yes, I want to be married. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be married to him. And
Mm-hmm.
so then it became all on him. You got work to do. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we have to I looked at it as we had this like it's a plate, or a mansion, right?
Mm-hmm.
We built this mansion, we built this home. We have many stories in it, and I felt like, the infidelity. I don't think that it was so much of the act of him sleeping with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It was whatever he was dealing with that made him go to someone else. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like in order to get to that place with another person, you have to gain some type of trust. And in
Mm-hmm.
order to gain some type of trust with them, you have to let them in some way. And that is what I think crushed me the most, was that there was another person that
Mm-hmm.
got that side of him,
Mm-hmm.
that only I should. So I looked at it as, hey, you drove this bulldozer through our home,
Mm-hmm.
and it's pieces everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, I want to have this home, which is our marriage. Yes, I want to live in it with you. So you got to clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
You got to rebuild it.
So with that, Erica, one of the things that comes with being the wife is that stigma, right? So you have people on both sides, right, who are 100% leave, 100% stay, right? A good wife is both, right? A good wife is a person who leaves, right? No, you don't deserve this. No, you can do better, right? Me and my baby, we're gonna be okay. Quoting Beyonce,
And she stayed. And
right?
so,
Right. Or and the other ones, a good wife stays, right? Almost like, no, this is what a wife does. And so how how did you, or what was your process like in being able to, or did you struggle with tuning out that noise to find out your truth and what you wanted to do for your family? What was that like, dealing with the stigma on either side?
I struggled.
Mm-hmm.
I struggled. So being all on the table, I struggled. I'm Christian. I believe in God. I believe that Jesus is my Lord and Savior. I had this whole religious mask on of what a good wife looks
Mm-hmm.
like, what a godly wife looks like. Godly wife is gonna hold her family together. She's gonna keep her husband secret. She's gonna pray. She's gonna do all of this stuff. And if anything happens, oh, it's her fault because you didn't please him. You didn't stay
Mm-hmm.
being nice to him. Maybe you didn't, tend to the kids the way that you're supposed to. You mismanaged money, whatever the case may be. It's your fault. So it's your fault to fix it. Um, I had to really, really go deep and really pray often throughout the day, because I was conflicted with what I was what I was taught to
Mm-hmm.
believe was a good wife versus what really makes a good wife. And I think what makes a good wife is a woman who is in complete ownership and of her power,
Mm-hmm.
and all of her flaws and her strengths. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had to get to that place of being a good wife means being a good Erica. And so
Mm-hmm.
that took for me to, start setting boundaries for myself. I had to
Mm-hmm.
set, who I was talking to, because a lot of people, I was
Mm-hmm.
one of them for years. That I was out. I know how to make money. I know how to
Mm-hmm.
take care of myself. I know how to take care of these kids. I
Mm-hmm.
look good. I keep
Mm-hmm.
myself up. It never was no question if
Right.
I could go out and get somebody else. And so I was one of them. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
if that's me, I'm out. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gone, until it became me. And then I
Mm-hmm.
had to get real with myself. And so it took for me to block all of that out.
Mm-hmm.
I won't forget, around the time that everything had come out, and we had decided that we were going to work on our marriage. Some lady, I don't remember where it was, but she drove her car. She was driving and she saw the other woman. and drove her car into the other woman. And social media is the devil sometimes. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Facebook
Mm-hmm.
in this story, and everybody is talking about, you know, how crazy this woman was, and
Mm-hmm.
how would you do that, and how do you lose yourself for a man, and how do you da, 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 da. And here
Mm-hmm.
I am, you know, and I'm not going to say that it has a look,
Right.
but a lot of people won't ever know unless I tell them,
Mm-hmm.
because of I guess what's real between us and what they see. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm reading so many people that I know, that I
Mm-hmm.
love, that I know love me, that don't know, and they are judging this lady, and they are, you know, talking about her. And so I had to drown that out. I didn't ask for anybody's opinion on
Mm-hmm.
either side. You know, I knew that it was going to be me and him.
Mm-hmm.
And if I chose to stay, then it's me and him. If I chose to leave, then it's me and him.
Mm-hmm.
Either on either side. So I had to drown it out. You gotta drown that out. It is a stigma around it. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody thinks that they are entitled to voice that opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you have to create your own safe boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Discern who you're gonna share with.
Mm-hmm.
And once you make a decision, be clear on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you waver back and forth, it's just because you're not sure and you're
Right.
looking for validation, you know, on one side or the other. And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, I was clear. Those two questions. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be married. Yes, I wanted to be married to him. So
Mm-hmm.
sorry, don't want to do that on your show.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
nobody else's opinion mattered to me.
Mm-hmm.
No one. Like nobody. It was
Mm-hmm.
just me, and it wasn't because of the children. It wasn't like I didn't even take them into consideration because I knew that he was going to be a good father. I knew
Mm-hmm.
that he was still going to do what he needed to do by them. So it wasn't a question of, you know, do I hurt my kids and leave? Do I, you know, all of that stuff? And it is a stigma because and ultimately to go back to that, a good wife is the woman who will
Right.
do what is best for her.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
So with that, so it's a stigma, and you got through that. Now you all are in healing, right? And healing requires internal change, and it allows you to see, okay, you know what? I may have to change my people, my nouns, right? My people, my places, my things. And how did you all work through that? How did you all, when you talk about setting boundaries, you know, how did you know who to include, both of you know who to include in your support system, and who to leave out, or what places to leave out, or what things to leave out, the triggers that would bring it up? Like, what was that process like, or what has that process been like for y'all?
Hard. I'll tell you right now, because we had a situation with us, I don't think many others deal with,
Mhm.
but the other party was somebody, even after the information came out, we still had to be in the same atmosphere with.
Wow.
Yeah, so it wasn't a situation of where you'll never see this person again, or you'll never be in the same atmosphere that could, you know, release a trigger. It was no, this person is somebody that's a part of a chapter of your life that
Mhm.
provides financially, and you just can't. It's not like you have a regular job; you can just fire somebody. That's
Right,
not the case.
right.
You had to see that person on a weekly basis. You had to deal with it where you're hurting internally, but you can't express it externally. You know,
Mhm.
so it's a very hard situation for us to go through. So my mentor who helped me through it, he showed me and told me that I have to be over the top with every gesture that I do. You know,
Mhm.
when it comes to being in a public atmosphere, hold your wife's hand, put your arm around her, show that affection and security for her. So not
Mhm.
only does she feel it, but she also receives it as well. Because it's
Mhm.
one thing to do it just for show, it's nothing to do it and have meaning behind it.
Right.
So that was very hard for us. So that's the first thing I want to say.
Mhm.
Second thing, expensive. Because everything I had to replace everything. Because there's certain triggers that women will go through. You
Mhm.
know, the person's been in your home. You wore certain clothes, that they rode certain vehicles. You know what I mean? So things like that you had to change. So I had to literally change the house we lived in. I had to buy a new house for us. I had to change my whole
And
wardrobe.
let me insert a disclaimer there. Because I had to think for a second. I was like, she's in our house? Okay. So we used to have like training events,
Mhm.
right? So
Business
this
related.
a whole, you
Right.
know, with a group of people.
Right.
This wasn't just, it
Right,
wasn't
right,
ever.
right. Thanks for that side note.
I had to, because I had to think about that for a second. I was like, wait a minute, she was in my house.
Oh, we about to go left real quick.
We was getting ready to go there. And so I had to really think about that. She was in along with other people. So
as a part of your business, as a part, yes.
Yes. And so it required blocking phone numbers. It required, straight up, don't call, don't contact, anything that you need, you go to A, B, C, D, E. And I let A, B, C, D, E know, listen, y'all better deal with this. I'm not dealing with it, and he's not. And so it was those measures, blocking on all social media, just changing everything, because everything in hindsight is 2020. So now you're thinking and you're seeing stuff that you didn't see before, or you see it and it confirms, like, that's exactly what I felt, and that's why I felt it. And so I remember this. And so I didn't trust anybody. You asked, how did I know who to talk to? I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't trust nobody. I felt like if you was around and you saw something that you knew wasn't right, and you just as guilty as the two people that was involved. So I had a real straight up, like, I don't trust nobody. Everybody is on my list, and everybody got to gain, that respect and trust from me, even though they didn't do anything. And it took a lot of baby steps for me. I was extremely guarded. I prayed. When I say prayer got me through moment by moment. Not like I did it once and then now I see the light of day and I'm good and we healed, we straight. No, it was like daily. I gotta pray. I remember sitting on my floor in my bedroom, and this is how I knew who to trust as time went on. I was arrested by my thoughts, and one thought will lead to another thought, will lead to another thought, and now I'm asking questions, and now I'm questioning myself, and maybe I shouldn't have said this, or you should have said this. Why did you say that? You should have responded this way. Why did you respond that way? And now I'm filled with guilt. I'm filled with rage. I'm filled with anger. And I picked my phone up and I started researching, going down the rabbit hole, and I was very close to finding out where she lived. And my phone rang as I was about to call her husband, because I found her husband's phone number. And I was about to call it, and the call would not go through. And my brother-in-law was on the phone. And he's just like, I just felt like I needed to call you just to see if you were okay. And that's how I knew how to trust people. People would come out of nowhere, and I knew that it was divine timing on their part, because they couldn't explain it. They would just be like, you were on my mind, and they had no idea at that moment that they reached out to me, that they sent me an inbox, they sent me a text message, that they called me, that they came and sat with me, that they cried with me. That's how I knew, okay, I can let you in to my vulnerable healing. Like, I can show you my rawness of wounds and how this hurt. And then when I go out, I know that you are somewhere posted up. And certain statements, I know that you're hurting, however you want to handle this, those type of things that people said that they didn't realize was exactly what I needed to hear. I didn't need to hear you should, or if it was big, or I heard that, you ain't the person that I need to give my ear to. And so that mattered a lot. And he helped a lot with that. He wasn't resistant to it. When I said, block her number, she's not allowed, around here. And these other people too. He was like, okay, and then he took it a step further. We never ever were passwords and login information people. Like, we just never needed to do that. And he was just like, well, here's all my stuff. Here's everything. I don't have nothing to, here it is, whether I ask for it or not. So that is what that looked like.
And from a male standpoint too, a lot of men have to understand you have to have a lot of patience. Because realistically, we may have in our own thoughts what the proper time frame is. We think a woman can, if you will, get over it, but that's not the case. Every person is different. You have no idea how they're going to recover from it and what you need to do to ensure these things and help along with that recovery itself.
That goes into loss, right? It is a grieving period. It is a loss. And so it goes into that whole acceptance part that's a part of grief and loss, but then that recovery part too. And so from that, part of that for you, Erica, is the decision that I'm not, and I'm going to go to Zai's comment that arrested by my thoughts, I'm making the decision to pivot and decide, you know what, I've decided to stay. I've decided that I want to be married. I've decided that I want to be married to him. And now I'm deciding that I want to create our recovery story. I want to create the marriage that I want. And so what was that like for you? And then Rahsaan, when you think about the understanding that goes along with that, I'm still stuck on your first statement about the expectation or almost the badge of honor that comes with it. You being understanding goes against the narrative around cheating isn't a big deal, right? I never was going to leave you for her anyway. And so you being understanding breaks that narrative or creates a new narrative, but it places you as an outlier, right? In your circle or in certain circles. So what was that process like for you all to give each other the space to heal individually and collectively and to make those decisions yourself?
So with me and my thoughts, I said that I'm in this. I said that I forgive you. I said that I want our marriage to work. So knowing those three things, it's my responsibility now to not bring anything into it that will hurt it. And that means, yes, I'm angry and I want to cut you out. And in some instances I did. And in some instances I did release that to him. And I felt justified in it a lot of times because you hurt me,
Right.
How dare you hurt us? So you're going to feel what I feel. And at the same time, I'm seeing how now it's not moving us anywhere. We're right back in that space. We're right back in that place of hurt. And it hurt. And so it kind of became common sense to me after. Do you like feeling that way? No. No. So how do you not feel that way? And so I'm a big journal person. I always buy books all the time. If I see a pretty notebook, I'm buying it. And so I have tons of notebooks by the side of my bed. I made a habit of finding things that I was grateful for, finding things that made me happy. And every single time I felt bad, every single time a song came on the radio or he wanted to watch a crazy ass, reality TV show where, and I'm sitting there like, oh, this is so familiar. This is so familiar because, I believe that life imitates art. And so we are in this again, and I'm feeling this type of way. So it required me to be honest with myself. Okay, what do you feel? You feel rage right now. Well, what would you rather feel? Well, I'd rather not go to jail for busting him upside his head. So let me do something else with this, what I'm feeling. And so I had to find outlets for myself.
I want to stop you right there because I think you made a good point. So some people get to the point where, what are you feeling? I feel rage. Do you want to feel this way? No. And I still don't do anything, right? Like, no, I don't want to feel this way, but I haven't learned that I deserve to feel something else, right? So I've made the decision, and I'm staying in the bitterness of it too, because somehow that justification, right? I'm justified in this bitterness. I'm justified in my rage,
but I'm not though. But I'm not. So here's the part that I had to look at myself in the mirror. I'm not justified in it because if, like I said, I am a follower of Christ. I believe that Jesus is Lord of my life. I'm not speaking for nobody else. I'm speaking for Erica. So it became to a point where I'm feeling convicted by the Holy Spirit if I'm doing this to him because I feel this type of way. Well, what can I take control of? If I know that certain things make me feel a certain way, if I know the mention of a name or, a pastime, because I done asked too many questions because I was curious. So now I'm asking all of these questions. And now I want to know, well, what you did? Well, where you go? Well, how you get there? Well, was it this place? Well, was it that place? I had to take ownership for that at some point. Or, you ask some questions and now you got these thoughts in your head. And every time you drive past that place, you're going to feel that way. So I can either stop driving past that place or I can stop asking him questions because I made a decision that, hey, I'm going to stay in this marriage and I want our marriage to prosper. I don't want it to just become stagnant and then die. And so many times after that, I started apologizing, right? Like I would be in this place. I'd be like, you know what? I'm sorry. You ain't deserve that. Because he's showing me that, hey, I'm transformed. I'm renewed. Hey, babe, look at me. I'm working hard. I'm trying to gain your trust. I can't keep throwing it back in his face because I'm hurt. I got to take ownership and participation in my own healing and my own rest. So that took for me to, seek therapy outside of our counseling, our couple therapy. I sought my own therapist and I started seeing her by myself, and she was pulling some other stuff out, like, and so a lot of people do that. A lot of people be like, I love you. I want to stay married. I forgive you. And then the next day, they shooting up cars, and it's like, hey, you can't possibly feel justified. You ain't no better than this person who went out and committed the act to get you in this place to begin with. Because you turned a new page, and he is forever saying, yesterday ended last night. Yesterday ended last night. Doesn't the word say joy comes in the morning? So if it's a new day, this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. I'm gonna be glad in this day, and I'm gonna choose. Like, it takes work. Like, work to identify this is making me feel some type of way. On July 4th, we was coming home, had a great day with the family. Shirley Murdoch, As We Lay, come on.
Lord.
I was like, but I sat with it for a second. And I've allowed myself two seconds, right? 2 seconds of grace. I can't be reactive. I got to be proactive. So instead of me reacting to this, I'm going to say, hey, babe, this song is making me feel some type of way, and I don't want to feel this way. We had a great day. We had a great time with our kids. We had, all this moment. I don't want to feel the way that this is going to, that these memories and thoughts are going to make me feel. It ain't bring up nothing about what happened. It just was, hey, this is what this makes me feel.
Right.
And
owning that process. I want to jump into something that, and this goes to you, Rahsaan, too, and you're creating that understanding and going back to the question that I asked you. Tracy asked, if Erica's arrested by thoughts, what does that look like for you? How do you deal with the guilt? And I want to add to that and not stay guilty, right? One of the things that we say is that guilt keeps you guilty, right? Guilt makes you overcompensate, right? So I'm gonna buy you, right, your healing, not give it to you, right? Or, or I'm gonna, feel bad and I'm gonna take that punishment, or I'm gonna go there. So how did you deal with your own feelings of guilt or whatever it brought up for you once everything hit the fan and you realized, like you said, oh, I can lose everything, and do your healing and give Erica that space that she needed to?
That's a tough question right there. It's interesting because, as I mentioned before, when I first came out with it and we started talking about it, a lot of men, we like to suffer in silence because you're no longer a part of the in crowd, if you will. Once you come out and you feel convicted over it, because it's, like I said, a badge of honor. So when it came out and for me to start talking about it, that was an outlet for me to actually speak, because most times we just hurt on the inside and we just try to keep it there. But if you never address it, then of course you're never going to get healing from it or know how to overcome it or stop that direction if you see it coming in the future as well. So when she started having what I call her triggers, it was easy for a man to feel like, well, that happened so long ago, because this literally has been what, 4 or 5 years at this point. And here it is, 6 years at this point, yeah. And here it is, 4th of July, one song comes on and that trigger comes, you know. It's so easy for a man to say, well, we're past that, just get over it, so on and so forth. But you can't do that. Like I said, you can't put a timeline on this person's healing. So when those instances come up, you have to go through it with them. You know, feel the pain along with them, reassure them, do things that will help take their mind off of it. Yes, it did happen, but also let's talk about what we have done to overcome it. Where we've gone now. You know, what have we been able to do to, you know, bring out the good times in it? You know, how has it made me a better person as a result of it? You know, because realistically, had we not gone through it, I don't even know if I would be the man I am today and being understanding and giving to her the way I do. Because what it has done for me is I wasn't able to buy her trust back, but I was able to earn it back through creative methods, if that makes sense. So it made me go back to the courtship or when we were first dating and everything, and come up with creative methods to wow her, to make her feel special and things of that nature. So that's something that you had to go to, but you got to go through to get to the end of it.
Yeah. And for me, with that guilt of him not, again, taking ownership, you know, this song makes me feel some type of way. So I'm owning what it's making me feel, and I recognize that I don't want to feel that way, but I am also not saying it's because of, you know, you that I can't ever listen to this song anymore, or you know, we won't ever be able to go, you know, to this place anymore. So it's a partnership. Like it is truly looking at it as our marriage is one bird. I'm the left wing, he's the right wing, and if I can't, you know, I can't do my job as you know, the wing to keep the bird off the ground if I'm constantly plucking feathers from his.
But I also know I'm not gonna put that song on my playlist anymore. That's for sure.
We all learn from it, right? And I think that's beautiful. I want to go to grief and loss real quick, and I want to make it clinical. So one of the things that you said, Erica, was, you know, I can't say to him anymore, it's because of you that I can't do this. And I think so many people get stuck. So one of the things that happens through the cycle of grief and loss is this stage called bargaining, right? So the thought process is this if-then thinking, right? So if this wouldn't have happened, then this wouldn't have happened, right? If you hadn't cheated, then I'd be able to listen to Shirley Murdoch all day and sing along with her, right? Like that if-then, right? And when I'm in that space, what it creates is blame. And works the same way. If I had done this differently, then my husband wouldn't, right? The blame works externally and internally, but the bargaining works externally and internally. But as long as it leads to blame, what happens is that neither one of us have to change, right? Because even if you change, I now punish you for changing, right? It's so funny how the mind works when we're in that justified rage, right? You're taking me out, you're courting me. So now I'm angry at you for doing that. You should have did that 4 years ago, right? I'm punishing you for the change that I've been begging you for. And so when you talk about that if-then, you know, one of the things that you all have done is the dialect. What we call the dialect is the incorporation of that and yet. This has happened and yet I still choose you, right? This has happened and yet I still want to be with you. This has happened and yet we can still talk about it, right? And that's where it's so critical when we think about healing. And the interesting thing about healing is that the healing would have had to happen for both of you, whether you stayed married or got a divorce, right? Because that hurt is there for both of you. And so that healing was going to happen eventually anyway, or not, but that you all have been able to reach that and yet part. This is our truth, and yet this can still be our reality too, right? We get to design what our life looks like moving forward. And that is going to take concerted effort from both of us.
Yeah.
And, you know, it makes me think about the saying that they say, time heals all wounds. And I laugh at that whenever I hear that, because that's not true, right? We have people angry 50 years later, right? It's forgiveness, right? It's forgiveness heals all wounds. And when you think about that forgiveness heals all wounds, I want to ask you all, what has that looked like for you, both forgiving yourselves and then forgiving each other. And Rahsaan, I want to start with you on that. What has forgiveness looked like for you in this part?
Wow. What does forgiveness look like for me in this part? I can't use a lifeline to pass this on to Erica. So for me, I think forgiveness, the only way that I could build from this is to give insights to other people who might be going. So I'll never forget, I can give you almost down to the exact date and time when I had this breakthrough. Because for a long time, I kind of suffered in silence, as I mentioned before. And I only had one or two people that I spoke to that were men that I trusted who had also been through this, that was able to coach me through it as well. But it got to a point, and I shared this with Erica many times, where I could see certain couples, see certain men, and I could call exactly what was going on before it came out to the public.
Wow.
And it's because I've been through it, so I know what the signs look like. And so I'll never forget, it was one time we were at a church service, actually. And they asked me to just give a testimony about how God has been moving in my life, just in general. And I'll never forget, I came to the altar with one thing in my mind to talk about. But when I got there, I looked amongst everybody else. That's when my heart stepped into place and said, no, you have to speak on the unspoken topic, the thing that nobody wants to talk about, address the elephant in the room. And it was hard because it was a public atmosphere, you know, so me really being vulnerable, speaking to the men about what we go through and really calling it out the way it is, and not being afraid to be chastised, if you will, to be, you know, have a weak moment, if you will, but to really put in there and say, listen, man, it's time for us to level up. It's time for us to change the narrative and the way that we're perceived, the way relationships should be, the way it's perceived, where you need to have more than just one person. Change all of that today. And it's starting with accountability. And I'm going to be the first one to give it by standing in front of you and saying, I went through it and I want to recover from it myself. Because until you can say it publicly, nobody can really hold you accountable to it. But once you make a public statement, now you not only proving to yourself, but you're proving to everybody else that this is something that I have taken ownership of.
Erica, what about for you? What has forgiveness looked like for you?
Forgiveness for me was definitely being honest with myself, taken out of that if this then that you know, thought process of it. I had to accept that this has happened, and I had to believe that if it happened, then it happened for a reason. And so forgiveness for me pushed me into, well, what is the reason? The reason will reveal itself in, you know, me talking to it, or God bringing somebody to me, you know, to talk about what they're dealing with. And really, would you believe it if I told you that I went through that too? You know, that type of thing, where a lot of people won't believe it because it's thought that you have to be this type of person, and you be, you know, that will avoid you, that won't come to you. And forgiveness, you know, forgiving myself, that was a hard process for me because, you know, you mentioned blame. I was in that space of, if you would have said this when you felt been here. But then I thought about it and I was like, that might be true, but then this wouldn't be what this is. Or you might not have had, you know, that conversation, you know, that powerful exchange with this other woman that might not have had, you know, it's so much, you know, so many different things, so many different ways it could have played out. And so that it became easy for me to say, I don't want to feel this way. I love the way that I feel now. So let me stay in this space and give yourself, Erica, because you didn't do it. Take what you need to take from it, and moving forward, now you know better, so you'll do better, you'll be better, you know, be kind to yourself. And if I'm kind to myself, then I can be kind. Yeah.
So both of you have talked about, and after we do this, I'll do the 3 tips because we're almost at time, but both of you have talked about how you all have been able to use this, right? Or been able to make sense of it, make it make sense for where you are now, and see, and I'm going to go there and see the benefit that this has had on you, right? Like how you, like you said, Rahsaan, I wouldn't be the man that I am today had I not had to go through this and heal some of my things. And how has that been? You know, because when we think about the narrative around infidelity and this is wrong, and all those stigmas and those conversations come into play, how have you all been able to create your own healing story for yourselves and for your marriage?
I knew you was gonna look at me. Well, so longevity, right? Longevity is this thing. People always be like, you know, oh, goals, right? Oh, I want to be together forever, like y'all. And it came with such a heavy price, and it's a choice every day. You know, it's a choice. Understanding now who we are individually, and then what we are to be together. It has allowed us to really be in that healed space, so that now it's like, hey, if this is what we're called to be, you know, to show that, hey, you can have a healthy marriage and still have a hiccup in the road of infidelity and still, you know, prosper and move forward together, then I think that we both accepted that. And I think that everybody has a cross to bear. I think that every marriage has a burden, if I can use that word. Every marriage has something. It's just our something. And we can choose to use it for, you know, the good, to glorify, you know, true healing power, you know, or we could have just been better and, you know, moved on. And I don't even, you know, and however that ended up is how it would have ended up. But, you know, like you said, being responsible for our individual healing, regardless of how it worked out. That's how we've been able to create, you know, put it in our story, see the influence that we have on other couples, see that people really do want to be married. They really do want partnership. I don't care how many times, you know, a person screams, I'm happy and I'm single. You can be happy and single. I'm not negating that. However, I do know that we are not designed to be alone, and we're humans and we crave, you know, we need companionship. You know, that's what I think. And so it empowers me to, we're going to be good. We're going to be, you know, good to each other, and we're going to be good for other couples to be an example and to be honest and show that.
And for me,
it's be authentic, right? Like, and live in your authenticity, right?
Yeah.
Rahsaan.
Yeah, and so for me, it's been able to give me a way to talk to other men who've gone through it. Now, here's the good and the bad part about it. I have been able to talk to certain men who have gone through it, and now they're on the recovery side. Oh man, I just got caught, or this just happened. Now, how do I repair? Because I know you went through it. Okay, so that's the good aspect of it. I also have several men who I call brothers who I've been able to kind of mentor when I see them going down the rabbit hole, if you will, along those paths. I can kind of look, don't go that direction because this will lead to X, Y, Z, so on and so forth. Now, the bad part about it, although I've been able to talk to men who have gone through it, the problem is it's still a lot of men who don't talk about it as they're going through it or as they see themselves in that rabbit hole, if you will.
Because nobody thinks that it's like drugs, right? I'll just take one line. I'm not going to be an addict. You know, nobody thinks, and that's just what it is. It could be anything, and this is ours. And I think that I don't know, like it definitely made me look back to me. Tracy, like.
And I'm so clinical with that. Rabbit hole looks like tolerance, right? Let's bring it home. So rabbit hole looks like I did something one time, and everything is normal, right?
Mhm.
So it looks like, oh, you still made dinner. She can't smell it on me. You know, they can't, and whatever that is for us, right? Oh, I missed a day of exercise. Oh, I didn't gain my 5 pounds back. I'm gonna miss another day. I'm gonna miss another. It creates. So I'm talking about it from a traumatic. It creates what we call a trauma tolerance. I'm going to create a lifestyle where I'm testing the limits, and it's happened a lot of times unconsciously, right? It's not happening with what we call our wise mind. My wise mind would say, what the hell are you doing? Stop, something is about to happen. But it's like, oh, I did it. I'm gonna take a little bit more, and then before I know it, I'm in this place, one, not even realizing how I got here. The healing process is sometimes like, whoa, I don't even know how I got here myself, and actually starting to realize too, what is it going to take for me to get myself back out of it? And like, I love what you said, Erica, that's any negative behavior, and I used to work with people who have addiction. I would love for a person to come in after that one time, right? I used for the first time today, I think I have a problem. We don't get that, right? I get 20 years, right? Right? When you think about infidelity, it's a lot of times it's not, oh, I slept at one time, and it's like, oh, and the world didn't end, right? And so what else can happen before, because I'm not thinking that I'm going to get caught. It's you get caught. My endorphins are going, everything is being triggered, and everything else is happening, and life is still moving in a way that I feel I'm able to manage it. And it goes back to a point that you said earlier, Rahsaan, about, at the same time, it's weighing on me emotionally, spiritually, physically, and from an energy standpoint, to sustain dual lives, right? Literally dual lives. Mm-hmm. Did you want to add anything to that? So we are at 9:57. People are just commenting. Your 3 takeaways. I know, Erica, you all said that you wanted to do a takeaway for women, a takeaway for men, and a takeaway for couples. And I want to give you the platform to do that. What would be your takeaways for a couple experiencing infidelity, or who has gone through that, at any phase in that stage?
Okay. So I will say, if you decide to stay married, then you fight what fought you. You don't fight each other. And so you always turn it outward. What is it? What can I own in this? In order to be in the ring with you, fighting against what's opposing us. If you choose that, hey, I can't do this. I don't want to be married, and you take the divorce route. I believe that healing starts with honesty, and on both parts. Until you can be honest, then you won't start with that healing. Especially if it's children involved. You don't want to become let bitterness take root because your marriage didn't work out. Giving power to something that I honestly don't think that infidelity is the thing. When you start to really look at what's underneath it, and you start to fight those things, then you be like, oh,
right.
Oh, okay, we can do that. You fight what fights you. That's how.
So what I say, takeaway I want to give to men is address the issue. Every man deals with it. It's like I said, it's an unspoken creed, if you will. So you have to really be proactive as opposed to being reactive towards it. So my one tip I would give men, it's a book that was recommended to me when I was going through it that really helped me out. But it's called Every Man's Battle. And here, really, it just puts so much into context for me of what we deal with, the small triggers men go through just from watching television to the radio. So the main thing is, start recognizing it now, make a decision to overcome it, and then put the action steps in place so that you don't become a victim.
And then for couples, what would you all say to couples?
Also, no, for couples, it definitely is fight what fights you.
Okay.
Each other. But for women, I didn't cover that. So for women, I would tell a woman who is in the process of healing and overcoming, that you don't need permission
Mm-hmm.
to stay with your husband. You don't need permission to fight for your marriage. You don't need anyone's validation. All you need is hope and belief. And trust is something that comes over time. Forgiveness is something that takes effort on both parts. And as long as you have the will, there the way will be illuminated, and you will see it. You know, you don't. It's okay if you stay. It's okay if you stay. Put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
It's okay if you stay. It's okay, because it's not for women. The takeaway is that it's not personal. Don't make it personal. If your husband stepped out on you, it had nothing to do with you. It had everything to do with him. I am a firm believer that if it had anything to do with you, he would leave. A man is not going to stay in any situation that is a direct. This ain't working out. You ain't for me. It's not for you. Don't make it personal. Give yourself the grace and the permission to forgive yourself and forgive your spouse. Let God handle the rest.
Yeah, she like I'm sitting here looking at her like I know I'm supposed to be engaged also, but I'm an audience member looking at her right now. I'm sorry.
Well, that is a good note to end on. Y'all can continue to look at each other once we are in the live. I wanna thank you both. I don't know if you all were able to see the comments as they were coming up, but so many people talked about your honesty and your transparency and your willingness to hold the emotion and to create the space for other people to talk about their issues, you know, and to be soft and be vulnerable. You know, healing takes vulnerability. It's easy to, like I said, it's easy to throw money at stuff. It's easy to buy our way or to do things, but to show up vulnerable and to show up to say, you know, I'm hurting, you know, and let's heal together. Takes courage. And so I just want to thank you both for doing that, and then using your platforms and using your story to impact and inspire so many other people. So thank you both for taking the time to meet on a Tuesday. Thank you to everybody who is listening today. Is there anything else that you all want to say? I know, Erica, you are working on a book. I don't know if you're ready to talk about
it. So pre-sale and everything should be released August 1st. Okay. My editor still sticking to that deadline, so I will be releasing that information next week, and it is called Trophy Wife. That title came to me because that was a dig from the other woman. She said, "You're just a trophy wife," you know, and I was just like, "Ooh, okay, all right." And so in my healing, you know, the Holy Spirit revealed a lot to me regarding that particular, you know, wording and gold and all of that. So it is for women, single, married, divorced, you know, wherever you are in your walk. Our 18-year-old daughter can read it. A lot of self-discovery in my healing process. And so I share that in the book. So I will be, you know, if you follow us, all my handles on social media is my first and last name, Erica Grier. He's the same, Rahsaan Grier. Nothing fancy about it. We just, you know, to people who realize that our power was underneath our pain, and we're gonna use it to empower others.
We're gonna hashtag that. Your power is underneath your pain. Amen and hallelujah. So thank you all. When we finish, put in the comments where they can find your book, your website, y'all names, y'all handles. Thank you all so much. Thank you everybody for tuning in for Dr. Tara Tuesdays. We will see you all again soon. So have a great day. As always, my tagline is let's heal together. Have a great evening. Peace.